Hello and welcome to the English Story Nook. We are so happy you are here to learn and listen with us today. Today, we're diving into a story about what happens when your everyday world starts to feel a little strange. Get ready to discover a thrilling mystery about a woman who witnesses something impossible on her daily commute and decides to find out the truth, blurring the lines between what is real and what is not. Before we dive in, if you enjoy our stories and want to support what we do, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and consider buying us a coffee on Ko-fi. There's a link in the description below. Every like, subscription, and small contribution helps us keep creating great content for English learners like you. Let's get started. The tube exit melted into concrete mist. Carolina Aries, a freelance graphic designer with an eye for detail, was the first to notice the subtle glitches in the matrix of her daily commute. It started with the posters at her local tube station. One day, a vibrant ad for a new Scandinavian thriller would be plastered on the wall. The next, it would be replaced by a faded, decades-old promotion for a long-forgotten brand of tea. She'd blink, shake her head, and the new ad would reappear, leaving her with a lingering sense of unease. The station's digital clock was another source of her growing anxiety. It would flicker for a fraction of a second, displaying impossible times, a jumble of numbers that seemed to mock the very concept of linear progression. She tried to dismiss these as figments of her overactive imagination, the product of too many late nights spent staring at a computer screen. But the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong, that the world was not as solid as it appeared, refused to be silenced. The incident that shattered her carefully constructed reality occurred on a Tuesday evening. The platform was crowded, a sea of tired faces and hunched shoulders. Carolina was waiting for the last train home when she saw him, a man in a worn tweed jacket, his face etched with a look of profound weariness. He walked towards the exit at the far end of the platform, an exit she had used countless times. But as he approached, the familiar archway seemed to shimmer, to lose its solidity. For a heart-stopping moment, the man, Patrick Flores, appeared to walk straight through a wall of solid concrete, vanishing into thin air. Carolina gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. She looked around, expecting to see a shared sense of shock and disbelief on the faces of her fellow commuters. But no one else seemed to have noticed. They were all engrossed in their phones, their music, their own private worlds. The exit, when she dared to look again, was no longer an exit. It was a solid, unyielding wall of concrete, as if it had always been there. The official explanation, when it came, was a gas leak. The station was temporarily closed. The incident swept under the rug of bureaucratic jargon. But Carolina knew what she had seen. And when she found a discarded wallet near the vanished exit, a wallet belonging to a man named Patrick Flores, a man who was now officially a missing person, she knew she couldn't let it go. Inside the wallet, tucked away in a hidden compartment, was a strange, encrypted note. It was a jumble of letters and numbers, a puzzle that seemed to hold the key to the impossible. The enigma of Patrick Flores's disappearance had become her own. Carolina's attempts to investigate were met with a wall of silence. The transport authorities were evasive, their answers vague and dismissive. Her requests for station blueprints were denied, citing security concerns. A sense of paranoia began to creep into her life. She felt as if she was being watched, her every move monitored. Her digital life, once a source of comfort and connection, became a source of anxiety. Files on her computer would be moved or deleted, and important emails would vanish from her inbox. The digital world, it seemed, was as unreliable as the physical one. She began to question her own sanity, to wonder if she was losing her grip on reality. The ambiguity of her situation was maddening. Was she the victim of a sophisticated prank, or was she stumbling upon something far more sinister? She felt a growing sense of apprehension, a fear of the unknown that was both terrifying and exhilarating. The line between what was real and what was not had become dangerously blurred. The juxtaposition of her mundane life with the surreal events she was experiencing was jarring. One moment she would be designing a logo for a new brand of organic dog food. The next, she would be trying to decipher a cryptic note from a man who had vanished into thin air. It was a life of stark contrasts, a life that was becoming increasingly difficult to navigate. Desperate for help, Carolina turned to her best friend, Amparo Alferez, a data analyst with a sharp, logical mind. Amparo was initially skeptical, her pragmatic nature clashing with Carolina's increasingly fantastical theories. But as Carolina laid out the evidence, the flickering clock, the vanishing exit, the encrypted note, Amparo's skepticism began to wane. Together, they managed to decode the note. It was a series of coordinates leading to a hidden location deep within the labyrinthine tunnels of the London Underground. The note also contained a cryptic message: "Beware the digital ghost." It was during their investigation that they met Jose Vanderham. He was a charismatic journalist, his easy smile and quick wit a welcome distraction from the growing sense of dread that had taken hold of Carolina. He claimed to be investigating a story about urban legends, but Carolina suspected there was more to him than he was letting on. He seemed to know things, to understand the ambiguity of the situation in a way that both comforted and unnerved her. He was an enigma, a puzzle she was determined to solve. The coordinates led them to a hidden server room, a pulsating heart of wires and blinking lights hidden away in the bowels of the city. It was here that they discovered the truth. A tech company, Eldolanda Tech, was testing a new augmented reality system, a system that could manipulate the perception of reality on a massive scale. The glitches, the vanishing exit, the digital ghost, they were all part of an illegal, citywide experiment. Patrick Flores, they learned, was a whistleblower, an employee who had tried to expose the company's unethical practices. He had been disappeared, his existence erased by the very technology he had helped to create. Their discovery was short-lived. They were ambushed by a security team, their faces obscured by the shadows of the server room. They managed to escape, but not before Amparo, with her quick thinking, managed to download a data drive containing evidence of Eldolanda Tech's illegal experiments. The data drive was a Pandora's box of corporate malfeasance. It contained emails, memos, and video files that laid bare the company's complete disregard for public safety and privacy. The juxtaposition of the company's public image as a benevolent tech giant with the reality of their actions was sickening. The sense of apprehension that had been dogging Carolina for weeks now had a name: Eldolanda Tech. Jose, it turned out, was not just a journalist. He was an undercover investigator who had been tracking Eldolanda Tech for months. He confessed his true identity to Carolina, his charming smile replaced by a look of grim determination. He had been working to expose the company from the inside, but he needed her help. He needed the data drive. Eldolanda Tech, now aware of the data breach, retaliated with a campaign of psychological warfare. They used their AR system to create a series of terrifying, personalized hallucinations designed to discredit Carolina and make her appear mentally unstable. The city, once a place of comfort and familiarity, became a landscape of fear and paranoia. But the company's attempts to silence her only strengthened her resolve. She would not be intimidated. She would not be silenced. She would expose the truth, no matter the cost. The final culmination of their efforts was a daring plan to hijack Eldolanda Tech's system during a public demonstration of their new smart city technology. It was a high-risk, high-stakes gamble, but it was their only chance. The culmination of weeks of fear and uncertainty was at hand. The demonstration was a grand affair, a spectacle of corporate hubris and technological wizardry. The city's elite were in attendance, their faces aglow with the promise of a brighter, more efficient future. But as the CEO of Eldolondatech took to the stage, his smug smile projected onto a giant screen, Carolina and her allies launched their attack. They used the company's own AR network to broadcast the evidence of their crimes. The data drive's contents displayed for all to see. The footage of Patrick Flores's disappearance played on a loop. The image of a man walking into a solid wall of concrete, a stark and undeniable indictment of the company's actions. The public demonstration turned into a PR nightmare. The crowd, once so enthralled by the promise of a technologically advanced future, was now a sea of angry, betrayed faces. The fallacy of Eldolondatech's benevolent image had been exposed. The fallacy that technology was always a force for good had been shattered. The ensuing scandal was a media firestorm. The government launched a full-scale investigation, and the company's executives were arrested. The AR project was shut down, its tendrils of digital manipulation severed from the city's infrastructure. Patrick Flores was found alive, held captive in a secret facility. He was shaken, but alive. Carolina, once an anonymous graphic designer, was now a reluctant hero. Her design skills were in high demand, but she chose to work on projects that promoted digital ethics and transparency. She had seen the dark side of technology, and she was determined to use her talents to create a better, more humane future. Jose, now free from his undercover role, was a constant presence in her life. Their shared experience had forged a bond between them, a bond that was stronger than any digital illusion. The tube station, once a place of fear and uncertainty, was now a symbol of her empowerment. It was a reminder that even in a world of digital ghosts and corporate conspiracies, the truth, like a stubborn weed, would always find a way to break through the concrete. The city, her city, was real again, and for the first time in a long time, Carolina Aries felt truly, unequivocally, alive. That's the end of our story for today. What did you think? It makes you wonder what could be hidden just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. Have you ever felt like something around you wasn't quite right? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to check the description for a link to the free PDF and other helpful resources to continue your practice. Thank you for joining us at the English Story Nook. Keep practicing your English, stay curious, and we can't wait to see you in the next video. Happy learning, and goodbye for now.